Hey guys, we have the Semogue Boar brush today, the 1250. This one is going to be on its 21st use today, and I think I have one more brush that's only going to be on 21 uses. Then we'll step them all up to start the use 22. The razor for today is the Mamba from RazoRock, stainless steel offering. A lot of times this handle, this halo handle, is a titanium one. I think that's the case here. This is the 53, the original Mamba. A very mild razor that I enjoy a lot. Inside it, I'm going to put a Gillette Platinum. Looks like we've got 23 uses on this blade. I'm excited to finally be bringing Bandwagon to you guys. It's Bison tallow recipe from L&L Grooming, but they changed their name because the business was sold to Scott at Declaration Brushworks, and so he then changed the name to Declaration Grooming. And so you'll still see that Bison logo. He continued that, but with newer stuff, you'll see Declaration Grooming here. And then, of course, this is the Bison base, which is still available in a few places, but it is being replaced with the milk steak base, which is current. I think I like, so far, I definitely know that I like Bison better than milk steak. The lather feel is, it's more substantial. It feels creamier. The milk steak has perhaps better post-shave features and oils and butters and things like that, but I don't care too much about those kind of aspects. I like the creamier feel, the slicker feel of the Bison. So that it matches more with what I am interested in having. Not a lot of Bison scents, really. You know, Declaration and L&L, they're not like Sterling, where they have, you know, 60 or 80 or however many scents they have. Mystic Water is another one where she has just tons of scents, and that's another really good soap base. I need to do some Mystic Water videos. So yeah, you probably saw we're talking about 23 uses, and so I do have an M designation on this one for marathon. Now with the Mamba, let me show you the bottom before we have a blade in it. See that little serial number there? Does it say? No. See, this is the original, and so the word Mamba over on the edge of the screen there is alone. If it was the 70, it would say Mamba 70. So that's how you know it's the, some people call it the OG Mamba, because it was for a long time, it was the only Mamba around, and I really do enjoy it. With this guy, you put the blade on top of the posts, kind of like that. Stainless steel construction, and this is a remarkable piece because it's stainless steel and has always been, as far as I know. It's been stainless steel, but not at the $100 price point, more like $50 or $60. Now, I don't think it took off gangbusters because a lot of people out there want something more aggressive than a mild razor. So I think that's why they put out the Mamba 70 to get a little closer into that mid-range point. I don't think it got into the aggressive, which is fine. I don't think that's what it's supposed to do. Oh, another new thing we have is a new bowl today. It's from the Dollar Tree. Big budget, $1. And look at what it's called. Bowl. All right. So what I liked about this one, looks like it's maybe 6.5 inches in diameter here, but I don't really need something that big. But I'm mainly going to be using maybe this part here and below. And then this is just extra prevention of lather overflow. And then when I was at the Dollar Tree, I did see a bowl that was, instead of curving like this, it shortcutted a little bit. It didn't have quite the bulge right here. I definitely didn't pick that one because this bulge gives me more capacity to work the lather, to have the lather stay in the bowl. So let's just see what happens today with this guy. My pebbles popped out of that other Dollar Tree bowl I was using, the black one. I was really liking it a lot, actually. And so I'm just going to have to upgrade the glue. The Dollar Tree glue, big surprise, wasn't geared to be that wet. And so I'm going to have to find some marine epoxy or, you know, something like that. Okay. So here's what the Bandwagon looks like, what L&L's base, Bison base looked like, and it hasn't been used. So this is the barbershop. When the scent was created, I think the story goes, the designer decided, hey, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon with everybody else because so many people have barbershops. And so it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek naming, which is typical for L&L and Declaration Grooming. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek, humorous name. Like, get on the bandwagon, do what everybody else is doing. And so he made a barber shop scent. Some of the standard ingredients are in there, like the bergamot, powdery type scent, sandalwood, lavender, coumarin. And then we have some other pieces like a hint of anise, tarragon, camphor. That's about it. And he said it was a lighter scent, lighter than a lot of his others, because he patterned the scent after his memories of maybe his grandfather or somebody beloved taking him to the barber shop and get him that bowl cut. And then they would dust him with a little bit of powder and then put a little bit of aftershave right behind his ears. And this is kind of an homage to that experience as he was growing up. And so the barber experience was not designed to overwhelm your existing cologne. And so that's why he said it was a scent that was on the lighter strength, or at least comparably, relatively lighter than his other products. So he did say it was a classic powdery musk with a sandalwood base that had those other ingredients as well. He did mention the anise being just a hint of anise, which is probably good. And so let us get my face wet. I'm excited because I finally got around to grinding the handle that I bought for my, I have two B5 knots, Declaration B5 knots. So far it's been my favorite one that I've been able to obtain. I think I like the 4 even better sometimes, but that's a lot more rare. And I came into shaving at the time a B5 being in current production mode. And so I did manage to pick up a couple of used brushes that were B5. And I love that rubber set, long aluminum looking handle, kind of barber style shape. And I'm a big fan of that one. And I bought a handle and it had some of the glue in there. And it was going to make the knot have a little bit too much splay. And so I didn't want to have to put on an O-ring because I'm about to set the knot myself. So I ground it down with, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Ground it down with my Dremel, and hopefully I set it at the right loft. I did take my calipers and measured the loft when I liked it with the O-ring in place from the top of the O-ring to the top of the knot. And then, so that was my loft value, my new loft value. So I've got that glued up, and so in a couple of days it'll be set, and so I'll be able to use it. So I'm big time pumped for that. All right, this brush has had maybe a half an hour or 40 minutes to to soak. It's a soft brush anyway. I probably don't even really need to have this guy in the water very long, any more than 3 or 4 minutes. But just worked out that way. Not a lot of bristles in this guy, so if you just want a light brush, then this 1250 is your guy. The 1250, before I get my hands all wet, the 1250 has the best grade bristles. Extra is their lower grade that's got more backbone, and then best is next. And I have found it not to be nearly as scrubby as the best. I think it's probably a very good grade of hair. All right, let's do 40 seconds just for grins. Probably just need to do 30, but since it's a brand new puck, why not? I started at 10 seconds before the turn of the minute, so we'll go until 30 after the turn of the minute. Just, medium to medium light pressure is what I do. You can figure out what you do. Just be consistent, and that way your timing or your turns, however you want to, gauge your loading, if you choose to go that route, will be consistent. Some people like to keep a very light touch and just let the tips, they don't really want to let it splay. One more second, and there we go. And they just want to let the tips of the brush do the work, and hey, if you want to do that, fine. Yeah, and look, we've already got a pretty nice proto lather going on. It's not very airy or anything like that. Looking good. I believe the Bison base from L&L is the same as Bison Declaration Grooming. I don't think they changed it. I could be wrong though. All right, let's just see how this bowl does. First of all, I also like it when it turns vertical because it's a little easier to grip. Sometimes when they're really shallow like this, they're a little harder to grip. And so yeah, this bowl has no agitation features inside of it. But here's the thing, every time the brush comes up against the side of the bowl, it causes those bristles to flex. And that flexing causes the bristles to rub up against each other. And there we go. Don't remember what my last recipe was with Bison, so we'll just kind of do it. I'll put probably 2 teaspoons in there in fairly short order, and then switch it to kind of half a teaspoon at a time. Adding water. I have some kind of cuticle bother going on right there. Huh. Okay, now and the scent, he said it wasn't as strong as some of his other stuff, but it's coming up to meet my nose, and I think I like it. Yeah, nothing's jumping out, right away as, ladylike. That powdery is, not a big deal. Camphor, isn't that kind of almost like a menthol, in that almost like a chemical or synthetic smell or something like that. Coumarin, that is a common note, and I need to look around in my spices and see if we have any coumarin so that I can maybe learn how it smells, because I don't have a clue. Yeah, and it's coming together really nice. So it looks like this is a pretty decent bowl. So that black bowl is the ceramic one, and this is plastic. The black one that I used a couple of times recently, I used it for several months, and it's a good bowl. I may like this one better than that one, but in either case, it's $1. And here's the shape. You might be able to distinguish it if you have a local Dollar Tree. It does have that the bead imprint there, but I did show you the UPC, so that is definitely one way to make sure you get the right one if you're interested in trying it out. And again, if you look, we've got that balcony of soap. I talked about that on a recent video. Sometimes if you want to run your soap really elastic and very well hydrated, one of the landmarks to keep heading towards until you get there is until that balcony of soap comes down, till it doesn't have enough structure to hold its weight up on the sides of the bowl. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this bowl because I can really go at it. I'm not, the sides are high enough, but see, as it gets higher, it splays away, slightly away, and so I'm not knocking any knuckles, anything like that. For the most part, my fingers are, you know, reasonably clean. Now, I know Bison can be very elastic, so put in another half teaspoon, and I won't take quite as long to add the next half teaspoon. Dominant notes that I smell. To be honest, I think I smell the bergamot, but a lot of it I don't really pick up. If the puzzle competition would have been on a scent like this, I got 2 or 3 of the notes in the right family of guesses, and so I feel reasonably happy about that, you know. But I bet I wouldn't be able to pick out what this could be. So I'm easily able to hold on to this. I do have big hands, and so that does help. So this is a good bowl. Next time I go to the Dollar Tree, I might have to snatch up a couple more just to be backups. I don't think this is going to break if you drop it. We've got tons of lather here. I may want to try to get a different color so that the white lather is easier to see on camera. And there's still more in the bowl. Ah, pretty good. Put another half teaspoon in there. Oh, I feel that slickness when I rinse the little kind of mess off my fingertips. Sometimes that is a fun time to experience the slickness. So now we've got 4 teaspoons in of water in the lather. Yeah, I need to find a different bowl. I think they had a red one. I'm just not a fan of red in general. If it's a real dark red, then that's fine, but I think this was just fire engine red, you know. But I might do that because it's definitely going to be easier for you guys to see the lather, because most lathers are white or pretty close to it. All right, let's bring the lather down to the bottom part of the bowl and then kind of lift half of it up. Ah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. We can watch how that little tongue on the brush acts. Watch how it behaves. Yeah. All right. Why not? Yeah, I can smell that. Yeah, that is a concoction of scents that is so well put together for me and my untrained nose in this particular genre. It's really hard to pull out the individual notes to make some kind of guess or acknowledge what's there. All right, so water on my face. Let's lather up. Now this 1250 is just a light little brush. Very comfortable, soft, and we don't have a lot of tips split with this guy yet, so he's nice even before we get to anywhere near a full break-in. So he's going to be really interesting and fun. Super soft later on. So this is a comfortable brush. I've said soft a lot. The backbone, not very strong. So it is very kind to your face. It's not as nice as a super soft Badger, but it's a nice comfy Boar. A little bit of a massage feel. And we are scrubbing all over 1 day of growth. So it's kind of a normal scenario. Working the lather into my skin. And also just, if you've seen, I'm maturing the lather on my face. It went on a little bit too dry. But kind of worked it. Got to this nice creamy point right now. It wasn't quite done. Yeah, this guy could use some more water. I mean, he could probably take some. So, as a caveat, I do have hard water. So sometimes that is really nice for those of you who also have hard water. If you have soft water, then your lather problems may be few. If you have hard water, sometimes you have to work at adding more soap into your mix, loading for a little bit longer to overcome that water hardness. You might have to go and buy some distilled water or purified water to use for soaking your brush and adding your water to your lather, which would of course nullify your hard tap water. Yeah, that's better. So that lather did need a little bit more water. Okay, so let's just kind of firm up our layer here, and we're ready to go. What's the scent? Yeah, I'm going to keep it around, I think. I've never had anything with camphor in it. I know what lavender smells like, and the lavender is not really super strong in this one. The powdery scent is kind of there, but it's really not a baby powder scent. You're not gonna, if you don't like the baby powder scent, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with this guy. All right. That lather feels like I need to I may be glad I brought more lather to my face, and what I may have done was to just work the lather in a little bit more to cause it to go from a light stage to a little more condensed stage, a little bit more creamy. Feels good on my face. So here's this mild razor, and man, I love putting sharp blades in these guys because the comfort is just super high, and as long as your technique is good, then you can be rewarded with a close shave too. With the grain pass right now, it is just smooth. I don't feel the blade. I do feel some of the hairs getting cut. So this is what the Mamba does. for me at least, with the grain pass. And here's the thing, second and third pass, even better, because we've probably removed 80% of the growth now. So it's a walk in the park from here. So even better than nice and smooth is ultra comfy and smooth. All right. Total water used so far looks like about 5 teaspoons. So let's get in there now, pull out some, see how it feels. It is resisting my squeezes, you know, let's call that cushion, with some viscosity there, but it's not super strong. It does leave a nice slick layer protecting my skin, but it could use some improvement. And I believe what has happened is maybe I need to run it a little drier than this, but it is going to work. And there are some people, like wet straight razor shavers, where this might be their desired consistency. All right. So sometimes when you have a lather that is just a little bit too hydrated, you can work it on your face, like I did in the beginning, and then a little bit will evaporate and then cause it to kind of thicken on your face a little bit. You can also dry your face in between passes. Feels great. The scent is not weak on this one, at least to me. 5 or 6 out of 10. Lather feels terrific. Definitely a performance lather. Cross grain now. If I keep this bowl around, and I may very well, might have to glue something in the middle of it just to hold the brush, keep the brush from sinking down, making the handle so I have to rinse it off all the time. Just keeping a light touch, even with a mild razor. You can still hear a little bit. It doesn't clamp down on the blade on the bottom. And you can tell that because when I said, I mean, not super close to the blade, it is acting like kind of the DE89 types. Because if you look underneath with these drainage slots, you can actually see the edge of the blade. And you can see the air there. So it's not touching the bottom of the blade until you get in toward around here. And so that's why we're getting some audio. And so this has mitigated the aggression a little bit by just by bringing the safety bar out this far and kind of holding the blade back a little bit. And so that's why it's still a mild razor. It gets pretty good shaves. I like it. Okay, rinse time. And one of the reasons this is one of my absolute favorite soap bases is that during these rinses, boy, the slickness is there in big, big numbers. And it's there right now. as I'm working it as after the kind of a halfway rinse. But it is just everywhere. The the lather itself may be a little thin, but it is protecting. It is super, super slick. And if I want to just add a little bit less water next time, I can get that creamy feel. So how does this one look right there? See, that's a hydrated lather. That is a well hydrated lather. I'm going to say this is on the wet end of perfect for me. It's in that perfect zone, but it's on the wet side. And the good soaps, there are definitely plenty of soaps you can take this far by adding as much water as it takes to make them this elastic. But a lot of times they will break down when they're on your face and not keep that slickness. I'm going to keep this one around because I don't know if I like the scent yet, but this is a limited run. They're not going to make any more Bison. So I don't think I'm going to sell it because you may not be able to get it back. All right, now cross grain again on my cheeks. I don't really need to go against the grain because I get just really nice cuts, close cuts with just kind of 2 cross grain passes. See, there's that audio from the blade overhang. Yeah, see, you can still feel that slickness. So that's what we call secondary slickness or residual slickness. We just kind of make up words that seem right? But it is still protecting my skin. And so if I wanted to go back and hit a touch-up area or something like that, this wonderful lather is still protecting me and allowing it to still be slick enough to where I don't have to fully re-lather if I need to do a tiny touch-up area or something like that. And that's a good feature, to me at least. Skin feels terrific. No irritation, tenderness, anything like that. Let's take a look at the litmus test over here. Yeah, such a mildness sometimes comes at a price. I do see some length and a few hairs over here, so I'll just do a little half rinse. We'll put down a partial pass in just a second. Guys, I just keep feeling so good after I rinse these passes because of this base. It's luxurious. It just feels slick, protected and conditioned and hydrated. That is what Bison does for me. And that's why it's near the top. If not, it may even be the top. I need to have a shootout one of these days and finally figure that out for sure, but someday. Okay, so now I don't think I did the third pass like I usually try to do, which is an against the grain cross grain pass in the opposite direction as the previous cross grain. So I'm going to tug a little bit, lift my chin away to tighten the skin just a little bit. Watching my angle, keeping very light pressure, holding the razor loosely, not pressing in. And that is how I have to shave my trick spot and not need to worry about irritation. All right, now we get this other, just kind of clean up that area. Hey, one trick, if you've got some lather under your razor and you find another spot you need to do, just kind of go backwards like that. Lay down that lather. All right. Yep. Just slick, comfortable. Man, what a good base. And I could see this being a very nostalgic scent. I think I'm a fan. It does have maybe a couple of little pieces in it that might cause me to like the barbershop that is in the Barrister Man Seville formulations over maybe this one. But this is also a scent that's kind of strange to me, and sometimes those scents take me a few uses to appreciate them properly. They're so new that I kind of have to mull them over a little bit before I kind of realize whether I like them or not. All right, well, I think we're in good shape. Yeah, almost no tips with any length, and that is for a comfortable shave like that. That's a win. And yes, at the end of the day, 5 teaspoons of water. Might back that off to 4 next time, but that is 5 teaspoons of water with 40 seconds of loading. And I thought the 40 seconds was going to be overkill, and it was, but just by a little bit. I mean, just like I could probably make 2 passes out of this, so not really super overkill. Look at that. That's wonderful. Now, look what it did. Look at that blob right there. Notice how, when it landed, its momentum caused it to collapse and get flatter. A lot of times I'll do that. The blob will drop. It'll hit, but it won't really change shape. That's another thing you can look for in terms of trying to discover your favorite hydration with your favorite soaps. What a great base. That is just excellent. Looks awesome. I'll have to watch this on video and just see. I mean, maybe the white is helping the camera to kind of white balance and not throw everything into contrast. So who knows? Maybe this is helping you to see the finer details of a white lather, where a darker bowl might cause it to throw out too much contrast and you'd miss some details. So a delightful lather, highly functional and slick lather. And so just maybe a little bit less water next time if I wanted to hit something a little creamier, a little bit something with more viscosity to it, maybe a more magical feeling to the fingers, but to the face, can't get too much better than this guy right here. And to the rinses, I don't see it getting any better. That was just delightful. Delightful. Felt terrific. Luxurious. Well taken care of, moisturized, hydrated. Wonderful. I am feeling just a twinge as things are drying now. Let me do the final kind of rinse, probably in this area here. But that's, pretty normal. I'm pretty sure the balm is going to, even if I didn't do anything, it'd probably be gone in 10 minutes. Well, I decided not to do a balm. I felt that sticking with the old-timey barbershop theme, I'd go with something that reminds me very much of Aqua Velva Blue. We'll go with that. It's going to be very interesting. I'm getting a new job. I'll be going to a new job in about a week. A little bit of stinging, but very little. So we had good technique today. And the new job is going to require a shift kind of in my sleep patterns. So I'm really curious what's going to happen to my shave patterns, whether I may become a morning shaver. Who knows? If I become a morning shaver, I might have very abbreviated shaves. I usually shave at night, and so I can just kind of relax. But maybe I'll shave at night. I don't think my job is going to be so nitpicky, so much scrutiny, that if I were to shave at night and then maybe have a little 5 o'clock shadow by the next day, I don't think that would be an issue. Yeah, I'm happy with this comfort here. So something I did kind of discover with this Mamba, it is a mild razor, but my carved Christopher Bradley Anybody else is smoother. Especially like the B plate, even the B open comb plate, smoother than what I got today. And it's because of the blade and how I showed you so much, maybe this much of the blade is not supported at the end near the edge. You have to move away into the center before you finally get some support on the bottom. And if it makes a noise, that means it's vibrating. That's the law of sound. If it makes a noise, it's vibrating. If it's vibrating, my thought is then maybe it's not as consistent and smooth as it moves across your skin surface. So therefore, potentially, maybe it is irritating your skin a little bit, to a small degree perhaps. And so that's why I love the razors like the Game Changer and the Chris Bradley from Carve, Wolfman, Fatip. All of those hold the blades really close to the edge. And some, like the Gillette Techs, I believe, do it pretty well. I think the Fat Boys and the Slims do it reasonably well. So, yeah, that's a good scent. That really goes. That's a good follow-up. Just kind of I'm getting the blue kind of scent from Aqua Velva, type of scent from this Arko, and wonderful transition from the traditional barbershop type ingredients into kind of a traditional, at least American-wise, aftershave. So I think these work together wonderfully. This is a super soft brush. A lot of lack of backbone. It easily flexes. The tips feel really good they're still damp. I just stropped it, but the tips are still damp and they feel really good. It's not super dense, so it's got a lot of flow through. If you want a light touch on your face, then the 1250 I think is a very nice option. It did have a few hairs that were black, but I like the white color, and so I would snip off the black hairs near the base there. Get rid of them. But that's obviously going to be your preference. There are definitely some split hairs on this one, but it's not splitting super fast. So it's going to be very interesting when they do split in a big way. I expect the feel of the brush to change also in a big way. Okay, is it going to be more mop-like? Is it going to have enough backbone to just cause it to feel softer and softer? Who knows? We'll just have to see. So I will show you this lather bowl in comparison with my Roger Quintero lather bowl. I got to figure out what to call this guy. You know, Big Whitey. I was thinking about calling it like the last four of the UPC. I mean, because I just can't call it bowl, right? Greenbrier International. I think that's a common, you know, cookware distributor for the Dollar Tree. Not recommended for use in microwave. All right, we'll call this the 42 bowl because a lot of times the first digits of the UPC here are based on kind of the company, and the last ones are the product. And this last digit, just a little tech jargon here, this last one is a check digit. It's a mathematical computation of all the other numbers. And so it's usually not a part of the product number. So 58042, so we'll just call this the 42 bowl. And my existing Roger Quintero lather bowl, 3D printed, is smaller by kind of a little bit. From outer diameter, looks like maybe 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that's why this was a pretty workable bowl. Height-wise, it is, you know, 1/2 an inch, 5/8 of an inch higher maybe, taller. Interior diameter is probably that as well. And because it gets smaller, down at the bottom, this area here is where most of the brushwork happens. And because that's where it's curved and turning in, then that is what adds a lot of that flex to those bristles, which was able to whip up the lather with no problem. And so, obviously, it doesn't have that inturned lip that I prize so highly in this bowl, but it makes up for it because of the extra height. My lather didn't come anywhere near the top of this bowl, where I didn't worry about it at all. If some got up there, it was so little that I didn't care if it flopped over. And so that's just as good, functionally speaking, as an interned lip. And because it widened out once it got that high, I never had any problem with knocking of knuckles or anything like that. I think I've just found another excellent option for a lather bowl. Like I said, I might try to put something in the bottom center to kind of stop the brush from slinking all the way down into the lather. Now it's big, don't get me wrong, but I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Very cool. All right. I'm going to put stuff away. So something I learned today about the Mamba, it just, when I was on my face, it was really smooth. But then when I was working on my neck, I started to hear that vibration. I hear it sing. And then I knew, wait a minute, it's not going to do that if it's clamping down near the bottom. On the bottom of the blade, if it's clamping near the edge, it's not going to do that. So it must not be clamping near the edge. Took a look at it, was able to look through that drainage groove that I showed you, saw the bottom of the blade, so it's obviously not so. And so that's why it wasn't quite as nice as Chris Bradley B plate, A plate, even a C plate, that sort of thing. However, it's a wonderful razor. I will still recommend it. It's beautiful. Workmanship is nice, appearance is nice, and the smooth, mild nature of it is nice as well. It's just maybe, I think what I learned today was it's not as mild as I thought because of that, the lack of holding the blade from the bottom right near the edge of the blade, sharp edge. All right, well, I'm going to clean stuff up. Definitely, and I'm appreciating this barbershop. It seems to me that he did want to avoid getting so close to the standard barbershop scent that's kind of common to several other makers. So I think he wanted to get near it, but just don't get super near it. Get close enough to where you recognize that's the general genre, but tweak it a little bit so that it doesn't fit in that groove too easily. Where it feels interesting, it feels different, it puts you in a slightly different place, but you still are able to appreciate some sophistication, and that's definitely there. Because as you're trying to smell this, kind of figure out the notes, it does kind of have a little bit of element of cleanness and freshness, greenery, tiny bit of spice, very tiny, just enough spice to kind of ground it out a little bit. It's still a very light scent, and that's kind of what I think a lot of barbershops really should be and are striving to be. So I think this is a wonderful barbershop to bring into a very saturated barbershop market with so many options out there at the barbershop. So I'm sure his personality made him do that and be that creative with it, and I'm really glad that he did. You know, if you look at the base plate of the Mamba, it actually supports the bottom of the blade maybe more narrow than about any other razor out there. And so, but the good news is it does bend the blade quite a bit. And so that's one of the reasons it helps it to, in general, stay in place, not give you too much. When I'm going with the grain, the bend is enough to keep it pretty secure. It's just when I'm going cross grain that, and I would imagine if I went against the grain, it would do it. When I'm going cross grain, it starts to give me a little audio feedback. The razor blade, the Gillette Platinum, worked well today. Happy with that. It's a nice light razor. The balance point is about right here because that titanium handle is not as heavy as a full stainless. The Game Changer is in the same family as this guy. They're both similar in price. They're both stainless, made by RazoRock. But I give a big edge to the 84 Game Changer, if that's the right. I may be off by one. The 84 Gap Game Changer is superior in my book, even though it is. Because in the end, on those cross-grain passes, the Game Changer, because of its firmer hold on the blade edge, is smoother, despite this being very nicely smooth on the first pass with the grain. So I do like the Game Changer just a little bit more. Okay, well, I'm super happy I tried this guy out. Very glad I have it. I got a feeling I'm going to enjoy it for years to come. And this little guy is going to give him a few days to dry out before we use him again. And he's had its 21st use, $12.50. And that's really close to the price too. These are cheap and they work really well as long as you like a soft brush, not a very dense brush. And I soaked it for 1 to 3 hours before each use, and I think it was ready in 3 or 4 uses. And so it does, for me, break-in was pretty much nothing with these guys. It was a very, very short amount of time. All right, well, there we go. That's what I learned on this shave. I hope there was something good in here for you, too. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Good night.